welcome everyone. This is season 2 of Slayer Talk, and obviously season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And we're going to cover the first 2 episodes of this season. And the first is called Some Assembly Required. Or is that the second one?
That's the second one. The first one is When She Was Bad.
When She Was Bad. So we all watch this relatively freshly, which is quite nice. Which is normally we're all kind of slightly out of sync when we watched it. So, what do you guys think of it initially?
I loved it. As we were saying, it seems to really bring all the characters together like a family in detail and coalesces.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a great way to pick up the sort of the unfinished aftermath of season 1 and to bring the group back together again in a way that didn't feel forced. Like some things would just start right off the bat, and I thought it was great that they didn't do that. So
it was it's quite a big move to. The opening scene is with Willow and Xander, right? They're walking along the cemetery, as you do.
Yeah.
And that's a nice date walk, you know.
It was.
But it was really nice to have that as the big opener, because it's such a significant thing for Buffy fans across the entire run of the show, those 2 characters. And it was such a sweet moment, and I just absolutely adored that scene.
Me too. That's one of my favorite scenes in both of these episodes, and I just wish Buffy had come in like 5 minutes later, and then it might have changed the course of history. But I live in a fantasy world. So. Sorry.
The almost kiss.
I really wanted that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that it was that close. That close.
Yeah, same.
But it was really the vampire that kind of cockblocked
Yeah,
them.
it was
not Buffy.
I don't know. I think the vampire might have waited.
I like that instead of just like coming up behind Willow and biting her neck, he was like, "Hey," right in between them.
Yeah, right.
What are you guys doing?
Willow's a great actress, eh? Like I just think the way her eyes, her expression, and that was awesome.
There's so much innocence behind those eyes.
Yeah.
But it also shows just how confused Xander can be. I mean, they went literally from him talking about that he's still interested in Buffy to like very narrowly kissing Willow in like a minute.
Yeah. And the whole episode he was like ping pong, like I'm always gonna kiss you, and then Buffy's here, I'm lusting after her, then like Buffy, I hate your guts, and then now I like whoa dude, like
yeah,
he's a lane.
That's what I wrote confused Xander too.
Yeah, he's just like,
I think it's the haircut that's done him in. It's thrown him off, the new haircut.
Well, it certainly didn't make him a better dancer.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Why was he not?
That's such a. It's such a. I know that's later on in the episode, but it's such a sexually charged scene. It's super, super like that. For me, is more not erotic, but close to it.
Yeah.
More so than her and Angel in many ways. That one scene.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's like this. It's this different, mature Buffy. This, she's all grown up kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
really, that was all about Angel anyway. Was nothing.
Yeah.
Xander might as well have been a lamppost.
Yeah, well, he certainly acted like one.
Yeah.
These are my
Yeah. There's I like how they talked about what they did with the Master. It's a really subtle, almost like diegetic audio that can be thrown away about the ceremonial burial of the Master. And and Willow said they got to wear cloaks as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish we'd seen that scene. That would have been absolutely fantastic.
Although I love they showed it later, and there was just like tiny little crosses like stuck in the ground.
Yeah, I have a weird problem with that actually. If if Giles had known there was even the possibility of bringing the Master back, why did they bury him at all?
Why didn't they smash the bones?
Why didn't they just destroy the bike? I feel like they chose to keep them, and not only that, but bury them in the cemetery, the regular cemetery. It just seems like a little odd. Or was it in the?
Yeah.
It was in the cemetery, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Near that tree. Yeah.
It was just a weird decision to me. I'm going like, he knew there was a possibility, even if he didn't know how. Like,
I guess he dismissed it. She does yell at him for that. She's like, "Why the heck didn't you tell me this was a thing?" And he's like, "What? This never happened before."
Yeah, exactly.
All that needed to sort that out, Dave, was a line of dialogue saying there's a reason behind it, and we would have accepted it.
Yeah.
It's probably like bad juju to have him in your like office, though.
You don't want to hang him on the wall?
Yeah, on one of those stands, like in a science lab.
It was anatomy skeleton.
That would have been a great kind of throwaway prop in the background, wouldn't it, with the fangs? It was quite nice to see Buffy's mum and dad. It was in this episode where they have that share that moment together.
Yeah, I really like that too. That's one of the few, or it's maybe the only. Yeah, I think
this is the last time he actually ever shows up in the show for real.
For real.
I think everything after that is like flashbacks or
another
stuff like
another Freddy Krueger dream.
Yeah. I don't think he ever comes back like as a character for a while.
Yeah, and it would have been just have a couple of more beats with those two. About their dynamic, not just about Buffy. That would have been really nice, I think.
Yeah, they were really great on screen together, and I think that might be the only time they were on screen together.
Wow.
Except for the flashback, I think they're fighting. I think later on when she's much younger, but
they were really good, and just their concern for Buffy wasn't. It felt more realistic. It wasn't over the top. It was nobody was overacting that scene.
Yeah,
it was, and the dialogue was excellent.
It was really realistic almost, and I love how the PTSD of Buffy or whatever, her the way she's not coping was really, really obvious in every single way, and we'll get to it. But I like how they both seemed concerned about her. It just seemed earnest.
Yeah, even though she wasn't causing trouble.
Yeah. So Jess, who wrote this episode?
So this one was written directed by Joss. So Joss Whedon. This is his episode.
This was a really solid introduction, and I think it's a really big achievement how they got to the point and introduced everyone the right way. It was bringing Giles back together. I don't know if this is the first time he's referred to as the G-Man
I think
by
so.
Xander.
I can't. Yeah, I don't.
And then he says, "Don't ever call for that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, the one of the little highlights of action that I love was the training montage was really good in this.
Yeah,
I have
It felt like everything was elevated, just like turned up a notch on the dial. Like the writing, the music,
you're right.
The camera work, everything, even kind of. But one thing that did confuse me slightly was maybe it was just completely lost on me, was the reasoning behind Buffy's kind of maturity that we didn't see. Do you know what I mean? Because she was like at another level, and people didn't understand why she was like that now.
Right. Maybe they could have elaborated behind. We just figured. Well, I figured maybe that it's just the Master plus going away, maybe, and time.
Yeah.
I thought you got it. It's like a PTSD.
PTSD.
This was her trying to dissemble and cope with what had happened.
Yeah.
So.
And actually later on, I put it, and this is maybe something. Where was it? Maybe it was later, but I put something like she's trying to, at the end. I'm jumping ahead, but with smashing this, all of a sudden, like. It's like she's trying to kill death, and this is going deep, and you can't. And by definition, it's always existing, but it's like she can't cope with it, but she's trying to, and that's like that. I thought that was a really creative way to show that that life and death coexist. And I know I'm getting really philosophical, but that she sort of represents that tension in herself of
I think I took from it was like her like opinion of being the Slayer was always the inconvenience to her, how it affected her life, but it never scared her mortality wise. That was never real to her. She's invulnerable, she's so strong, like not much can really hurt her. And then the master kind of tore that perception away. Like she can face death, she can die, she did die. So like she knows that she's actually vulnerable, like and I mean she must know also the statistics of being the Slayer, right? So like they don't live long, and now that's come to fruition. So I guess she feels like she's kind of has to, you know, live in this moment now. Like how much time does I have left before another thing like this comes along? And she's panicking, trying to, like with the training scene, trying to prepare herself for the next time she faces something that dangerous again.
Yeah, it's almost like
really well put. Yeah, really well put.
Yeah, it's almost like a Phoenix legend. Like she died and then was reborn, and she has to grow and learn from the previous so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So it's almost like literally it's supposed to be a summer has passed and Buffy's grown up from her experiences from the previous season, which is so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say she also seems like part of it seemed to be a lot of anger, because as much as they involve themselves in this world, they're not her. She's the one that faces death, not them, and they can walk away at any time and they don't have any obligation. And I think that's why she was lashing out at Xander and Willow and Giles, because their lives aren't on the line, hers is. And
again, really well put. But, that's what I thought.
But funny enough, and that's totally true, except that's also, I find that's her perception of it, because they constantly are there putting themselves at risk without the added protection of training and powers and things, just so that they can try to help her. I mean, for this greater cause,
and
but
that
also
became
out of
clear
friendship.
at the end. At the end, how they all came together as the first episode of the season too, like the family and all these details. That you're both right. I think you're both right.
Yeah, because she realized kind of when they got kidnapped, she was like, oh crap, like they are in danger all the time. So
and they can be helpful. They really actually are a team, and as corny as that sounds.
They need better security on that school, because when all those vampires like drift into the library, I was like, Jesus, come on.
Is there a back door? Where did they come from?
Gotta be.
I thought there was only one entrance to the library, but they just came from the stacks, like.
Yeah, like floated in almost.
Yeah.
I love the there's a little line of dialogue at the very beginning of the episode where we have that sweet scene of talking about the summer without monsters, and that the idea of Sunnydale was just this whole thing went around in my head about what the town would have been like without any vampires for a good few weeks, and that would have been quite interesting to see. Because that's what kind of pings in my mind, is that the could be's and the what ifs, and that's what I quite like about different aspects of the school and at different locations. The what ifs, or what's around that corner we never get to see. Like, when we saw Angel's apartment in the first season. It's such an interesting kind of aspect to his character. But I think it's a fantastic episode.
Me too, and I like Giles and Miss Calendar, their interactions. I thought cute. So, speaking of innocent, it just I love it. I love how she's more taking the bull by the horns, and he's like, and Principal Snyder.
Yes, these raging hormones.
That scene where
that whole scene was so great.
Yeah. Where he's just staring at his girl. The girl. Feel like I'm talking to myself.
He's a brilliant actor. His moments, his scene stealing, they really are.
Hilarious.
And the way Giles or Anthony plays off that, and acts like a fumbling, like a teenager, is really cute.
I love how that you see that in writing, with scenes like that, where there's two parallel scenes happening, like the principal thinking about the school and what he should do with the kids, and then there's what he's thinking about this woman he's really interested in. I love how that works sometimes in scenes.
Me too.
Something I really quite liked is Willow's continued. She wants to be loved, and especially by Xander, and it's something that this it's never kind of get to that point. But I kind of like those two moments in this episode at the very beginning, which is really genuine, and they both were in that moment. And then in the club, the pure dismissal.
Oh, I was going to bring that up. That's one of my favorite moments too, because I keep going, wow, great acting again. And just the expression and how the second time Xander's just like, oh, he doesn't even notice her the second time. Yeah.
So oblivious.
Yeah.
But she's such a genuinely good person. Like the way she's willing to talk to Xander at the beginning about his feelings for Buffy, and then really Buffy breaks like the major girl code there, like, you know, and it really hurts Willow. You could see that in her face, but she doesn't like, oh, screw Buffy like Xander does. Like, she's like, there's something wrong with her, we need to help her. Like, she's so sweet. Like, she never like dismiss it. Oh, she's just such a good person. What a good character she is.
Same.
Was it this episode as well where they brought Cordelia in close to the circle? Was it the second one?
Kind of.
Because obviously the second one's more about Cordelia.
Yeah, no, it was this one. She had her moment.
She did.
Yeah, actually, Cordelia has some excellent moments. In this. There's,
her. I didn't know we were supposed to keep this a secret.
Yeah. And she calls them the Three Musketeers and thinks it's an insult. But,
she's like, that's kind of a compliment.
But when she confronts Buffy after the dance scene outside of the club was great.
The get over it, that's when they really became friends, I felt. And that's part of why this episode's so rich, because Cordelia's less two-dimensional than before, and she's
absolutely
got a decent bone in her body to protect her new friend. Like, I called Buffy and her a new friend.
Yeah, and you can tell that she's definitely clearly after the last season more aware of these people and what's going on, even emotionally, which didn't really happen at all in the first season.
I love that they didn't reset her. Like, she just goes back to being horrible. Like she's halfway, you know what I mean? She's grown as a person. She doesn't treat them badly, but she still is Cordy. Like, they haven't changed her completely. She's still vain and shallow in some aspects, but she was, you know, she actually went up and talked to them, and she like actually tried to help Buffy in her own way.
They had to acknowledge that, because you could have easily, if they didn't have Cordelia in mind for the next season, they could have easily dismissed that, and almost like a Men in Black moment where she just doesn't remember what happened, you know. And you know, a coping mechanism with trauma, you know, you can easily forget these things, or your brain puts it back of your mind. But watching both of them back to back, it really gave me an amount of satisfaction when it came to bringing Cordelia into the fold.
Yeah,
I think that was really important, because she did hold her own in the last season in many ways. You know, she had really great moments, so it's really nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I liked is, speaking of the Richard episode of this is, you know, the little things between Angel and Buffy with the nightmare, and then him saying, I missed you, and her just turning after that. Like, it just these little close moments, and he's there for her too. A lot of this seemed to be about loyalty and growing bonds, like Angel's loyalty, everybody, maybe Xander, I don't know so much, but everybody's loyalty and being really all together. Like a lot of different parallels.
There's something that this is just a superficial thing, but I love Angel's lighting whenever he goes to Buffy's bedroom. It's that thing. It's like Angelica Houston in the Addams Family.
With the light.
Yeah. You know, they've put some sort of kind of cutout over the light, and it's just it's great fun though. It really is.
Awesome.
It really is a creepy thing though. He's like into the bedroom and standing over it. It's really
just waiting for her to wake up. I was like, oh, this is where Twilight got it from. Sneak into your room and watch you sleep.
It's almost like, is Dawson's Creek before or after this? I can't remember.
Simultaneous, I think,
Yeah, because
around the same
there's
time.
a similar thing like that, climbing up into the bedroom, like.
But that's when they're awake, like not when they're sleeping. But speaking of the dream, that dream was like, that was traumatizing even for just watching it.
Holy cow, you're right.
Giles just like strangling her to death.
Yeah, that's actually, I jumped and I'd seen this like a month ago and I was actually on the treadmill looking sideways watching it. And I went like this on the treadmill when Giles, like, because I'm like usually amazingly nice.
Yeah, that shows what a good actor he is. Like his strangle face, like it's just so terrifying.
Really when he said like, "I killed you before, I could do it again."
Yeah.
And it's just like the tone of his dialogue just changes so subtly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
he must have really enjoyed that, because that little change in how a character is, he must have really sunk his teeth into that. Must have enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think that was the scariest part of the episode. Forget all the vampires and the whatever. Like that wasn't that scary, but that moment was actually truly very horrifying to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to throw it in before I forget. At the when they're at the football game, is that that's next episode?
Oh, fun fact about that dream sequence, by the way, the master, after she pulls off Giles's mask, that is David Brina's.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, they had him play the master. They made him up as the master. So that is actually David Brina's.
I knew it wasn't the same actor, but
Mark Metcalf. Yeah, it's not him.
That's awesome.
It's David Brina's in the master's outfit.
He's already on set. You know, he's probably cheaper.
Yeah. Why
cheaper?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if he gets paid a different rate if he's playing two different parts.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. That's supposed to be a lot of makeup, though.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to mention about it, which going about the vampires, which I found interesting, was the vampire preacher kind of guy who Absalom.
Yeah. Absalom, yeah.
Yeah, I mean he only got the one episode, but
excellent.
It was very good, and it was kind of interesting because they've been hinting at these vampire prophecies and almost a religion, and like they all recite and chant together, vampires, but they never outright talk about whether they follow something else. So it was really interesting to see them write that, and have somebody sort of try to pick up the mantle after the master, but not replace him.
Yeah,
which was really cool.
Oh, interesting. Like their philosophy or their
like there's clearly some lore or something that they follow and believe in,
doctrine or something.
And they I don't know that they ever really fully explore it, but it was just neat to see that written in a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that. You know what, I didn't make a note of that. I should have. That scene, Dave, is where he's reading. It's almost like a vampire priest, and I thought that was. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I've not really seen too much of that before. The idea of their own religion is genius.
Yeah. Oh,
I thought that was cool, and it kind of, even though vampires are such throwaway characters, it added depth to them anyway.
Yeah.
So, which was really cool.
Yeah. And as usual, just the humor in this, that to go like what was it? The something aroma of jail. The slightest.
Oh, that was Snyder again. Oh like, man, the slightest aroma of jail.
Yeah. Like, who writes this except John?
Yeah.
I love these and
BITCH. I think we're beyond spelling out the words, Willow. Bitka? That in there. We're gonna. What is it? We're gonna. What did they say about Cordelia? We're gonna make a meal. We're gonna make her a meal. They're gonna cook her dinner.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I love the fact we pick up different moments and we like different aspects of the show. But yeah, that is a great line. It's such a nice, you know, when you have something really nice to eat, someone's prepared your food, or you go to a restaurant, you know, whenever that was last. Yeah. But it's really nice to when you have something really satisfying, and when you hear great great dialogue.
Yes, that
Yeah.
does it
It's
for
there's
me.
such satisfaction. Your senses are kind of really satisfied.
Oh my God, Alex, I have to say, yeah, especially, I don't know if it's something to do with me writing lyrics, like I write music too, but I love good lyrics and I love good dialogue.
Yeah.
These ones I had to like pause and kind of giggle and then go back and press play again because I just laughed too hard at them. I was like,
When Buffy calls Angel undead American,
Yeah.
that's like a throwaway line.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you, like an
Undead
undead
American. That was
There's
so
sorry, on a slightly different note, there's a British stand-up comedian called Victoria Wood. She died of cancer a good few years ago. She was an exceptional stand-up comedian, and she was a brilliant comedy writer. And she wrote a series called Dinner Ladies, and it was about these dinner ladies that worked in this factory, and they just served food. And it was kind of a situation. It was like a, what do you call it? Like where they have the audience, and then there's a term for it. For that kind of comedy, you know, where
Oh, I know what you mean.
with live studio audience kind of thing. And there's a line of dialogue that when I hear it, I just cry laughing because it's just genius. Like the use of just a few words kill me. And it's such a, like, with music and with film and any kind of form of writing and art, just you can just have someone have such an cry or laugh or hate in just a few words, and words are so powerful. And even just that line of dialogue about the smell of jail is just brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he's holding his belt buckle or something while singing. It's just like his acting, obviously, and his physical acting as well. It's genius combination.
yeah, he's always so good. I just found actually with these episodes, normally I write like quotes down, but like these ones, it just had so much good dialogue. I didn't actually have time to write it all out. Although there was one line that was unintentionally funny for me, was when Buffy's like being really rude to Angel, and he's like, "Why are you writing me?" Just like, okay.
Yeah.
Why are you writing me?
Yeah.
I love the standing off when Buffy walks away and Angel's always looking in despair.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the dance scene.
Yeah. There's something almost like, you know, Beauty and the Beast, where they can't actually form a real connection because he's a monster kind of thing, and there's a real distance between them, even though they're right next to each other. Yeah. I think it's a brilliant idea that you can have such a distance created, even though they're in close proximity.
I love that, and I
think it's genius. Yeah.
Like, and I get all deep again on like she's like the daylight and he's nighttime, and they can never be together.
Oh, that's Lady Hawk. Yeah. Have you ever seen Lady Hawk? Where they can't.
I have a long film.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that again. I know I really like it. Anyway,
I just like how like they were so tentative with each other this episode. Like they were just like kind of feeling each other out, and it was cute. I thought, like, you know, she was rude to him, and then he kind of took off, and then she tried to say "I missed you too," and he was already gone. And
that was kind of earlier. Yeah. It was very sweet moments, and
I feel as though, with the way it works, I feel as though he heard that, because we don't know how quick he really is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because have either any of you seen what's that Mel Brooks cowboy comedy film?
Oh, I love that.
Blazing Saddles.
I love that movie.
The genius of Gene Wilder's character. You don't see him shoot.
Yeah.
He's the fastest gun in the West, but you don't see him shoot. He's always got his arms folded. So it's the same thing with that little moment. He's probably there, and then he just disappeared like that, you know. So.
Do you like Young Frankenstein, or is it Young?
Yeah, Frankenstein.
I was just gonna say, I always want to be Igor. With the hump.
Yeah, well, absolute genius. Yeah.
One thing in this episode that I think I've already said, but I actually wrote down, like, Xander and Willow, even though it starts like with them like not kissing and not getting together, by the end Xander's saying, if you hurt her, I'll kill you. So that solidified that relationship. Xander and Willow are really close friends, and Cardi and Buffy, like we said already, and Angel and Buffy, there's all this like extra strengthening. I guess Josh had some kind of like polyphila and just.
But at the same time, like the Xander and Willow thing just so frustrates me. I guess because like knowing what I know. I guess if I had just thinking about watching this new, it's like it's leading to something like the almost kiss, how desperately he's like, if she gets hurt, I'll kill you. And then it's just like nothing. Like he's so oblivious to his own self. I'm like, why are you so dumb?
But funny enough, and I get like also talking about what happens in the future, that is such a part of Xander's character, like such a flaw in his character that it affects his entire story in the entire series, even until the last episode, which is amazing.
True.
So,
Very.
He's just not clear about who he is or what he wants, or
I don't
anything.
think he appreciates what he has. Like he only wants things he can't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which he kind of says, is this the episode? Oh no, never mind. It's next episode where they give the whole speech about you always want what you can't.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
The unattainable is what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Do we
trying
have
to think if there's anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, the last line I loved. I loved a little after. Was it after the credits?
I had to rewind. I had to rewind because my Amazon went off and then.
Yeah. I hate that girl. I just love it. Yeah. Such a Joss moment. I felt like just that last little comedy bit at the end.
That is brilliant. That is.
For that, the scene where she's sitting down at the in the classroom with Willow and Xander, and they do the camera 360 turn around them. The music and that scene was playing is possibly the cheesiest moment they've ever had in Buffy. It felt like an 80s sitcom or like 70s sitcom. Like totally. Facts of Life or something like that. It was just so over the top cheesy.
Which is crazy to me because I was looking at the trivia for this episode, and one of the trivia was that the composers changed from Walter Murph to Christoph Beck. So he wrote some of like the classic, like the next episode, you hear the little Buffy Angel theme that plays out throughout the season that leads up to like the kind of finale, and it's like a beautiful score. And I was like, he wrote this? Like, that was awful. Like, wow, so bad.
It was so, and it was so like, clearly they needed to fill out the scene or something because they had that slow camera shot and they let that music play. I'm going, this is really, really a weird climax to such a good episode.
Yeah, it was weird.
I thought it worked.
It kind of undermined the moment for me almost because it was such a beautiful, like, tentative, like, do you forgive me? Like, I don't know how I'm going to live with, like, you know, look you in the eye. And they accepted her back. And then it was just like,
yeah, it's kind of a slight anomaly in this episode, isn't it?
I do I'll say the obvious that we probably all feel. I love how they accepted her back with all the little gestures and
without even explanation, they just bring her back.
That shows great friends. That it really does.
Yeah, it really does, and that's the essence of the whole series. So, like friendship.
And it's funny, like, you know, as weird Xander was kind of going back and forth, like when they got to that scene where right before she kind of lets it all out on the Master's bones, you know, Xander was the one of all people that was like, no, it's not done yet, like shit's not over, before she like smashes the bones. So it's like, it's weird that he's I'm so against you, but then I can see then the kind of what was coming, like this moment of catharsis when she pulverizes the Master's bones to dust, kind of
grinds her enemy's bones to talcum powder.
I think that's all my notes.
Yeah, the only other thing I had was a little trivia thing also was that the reason why Buffy's hair changed was she filmed Scream 2 in between the hiatus of the season. And interestingly, the poster for advertising season 2 was like, you've seen her in America's #1 film. Now see what she does on Monday nights.
That's amazing.
Which was so bizarre to me because, like, I think of Buffy as this kind of like mythic cult show, and it's weird to think of it as this kind of show that needed to still gain its following at this point. Like, it wasn't really the big show that we remember it as. Like, it was still gaining its momentum, but to advertise itself with Scream 2,
really capture that Scream audience.
Yeah, it's just.
That's really interesting, though.
Yeah, she's barely in that movie. She dies in the first she's the sacrificial lamb at the beginning of the
thrown
movie.
Thrown off a balcony, doesn't she? I think.
Yeah, and the classic blonde that runs up the stairs instead of out the front door, right?
And she's super sarcastic on the phone. It's almost like that scene in Scream 2 is almost like written by Joss. That's how it feels if you watch it. Because I do like Scream quite a lot.
I do too, yeah.
And the second one, she's really sarcastic with the Scream killer in the second film. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So, do we have a death count?
Yeah, it's a big one. Six vampires. 6 vampires this episode.
Wow.
So all of them by Buffy except for 1. 1 point for Angel and 5 for Buffy. So pretty big death count. So
and these are very fragile vampires. Like a kick to a tree at the beginning.
Yeah. I didn't even see anything poking out of that tree. He just kind of seemed to just explode. But the flame death was cool, though. Taking him out with the torch. That was pretty brutal.
The one other thing I did want to mention was actually just showing how dark Buffy was the scene where they have the vampire captive. And she's literally torturing her for information.
That's really dark.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
That's like, Xander and Angel are standing back just being like, oh, okay. Like,
that was hardcore. It was a whole new Buffy, really, with everything.
The whole new Buffy.
That was brutal.
And I can't take torture scenes in anything, so I was wussing out.
One last thing. How did I forget? The Chibo model scene. My favorite musical scene in all of Buffy.
Right. I forgot, Jessica. Sorry.
I don't know why this song really always stuck with me as a kid. It always was one of the things I totally associate with Buffy. Every time I hear it, I love that song. I love the performance.
Do we know
Sugar Water by Chibo Mato. Yeah, Sugar Water.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I thought the words were like made up words. I thought it was like Amuna Nina Nu. Because I didn't have the lyrics. I didn't know what she was saying. But it's actually like a woman in the moon is singing to the earth, I think is what she's saying. But I always thought it was just like nonsense words like Amuna Nina Nu.
Yeah, it's funny that song is so. I've never heard that song on like the record or streamed or anything, but I absolutely remember the melody that she sings like so well.
Yeah, it's so catchy.
Yeah, and because of that, the scene like sticks out in your head too, right? Like the whole scene together. It's one of the most memorable scenes in Buffy for me for some reason, just because it comes together so like I really strongly remember it.
And actually, you just triggered the lighting on the Xander Buffy sexual dance.
Yeah.
It was really well done. I'm not usually noticing, lighting that much, but wow, I was impressed.
Yeah,
so
it was
plus
great.
Music, plus it was kind of had everything.
Yeah, it was really good. But I highly recommend watching the music video because I watched it when we started rewatching again. I watched the music video for the first time. It's really cool. There's like a kind of 2 scenes. One's moving forward in time, one's moving backwards as they kind of go to like coalesce and meet in the middle and then come back again. It's really a well done video. It's really cool.
I feel that idea.
Yeah, so definitely watch it.
Cool, thanks.
So I a very strong episode from all of us. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
So we move swiftly on to episode 2, and I did have the title before. What was it? Some assembly required.
Some assembly required. Yeah.
So Jess, what's the kind of breakdown of what this is about?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember how it starts now. Basically, it starts in the cemetery with a great scene between Buffy and Angel, where mysteriously they find an open grave, but it's not a vampire. A body has been dragged from it, and slowly, I guess, more pieces are found. Someone's grave robbing in Sunnydale, and we're trying to find out why.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this. This is maybe in a hole in my memory of watching the season. But I just saw Frankenstein written all over this.
Yeah.
But in many positive ways. This is definitely the weaker of the 2 episodes. Just for a few reasons, and there's some. Yeah, I kind of liked it, but it was some of it fell flat for me as well. Like I like the idea that the two guy the reveal of the two students who are doing the because there's a term for stealing bodies, I can't remember what it's called, but the reveal, it's the two students, the in the hallway when they talk to each other about she's perfect does something, and then we can't kill one. I thought it was a really clever reveal for this episode.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I feel like this episode with these two, it was kind of a nice juxtaposition, because I think it was what Smudge and I kind of go off back and forth again, is like there's the Buffy that like last episode was, it's very thematic and meaningful and character driven, and then there's this, which is like to me kind of classic Buffy banter, and the dialogue is funny and quick, and I love them like joshing Giles about his trying to ask Jenny Calendar out with the chair, and like what is like Xander quipping about the do we have to have the talk about the birds and the bees, and like there were so many good dialogue moments and really funny like interaction between them, but again thematically, like I guess that's maybe why this falls short. I didn't find a good central kind of message here beyond
same here. It didn't have the richness and the consistency of sounds like I'm talking about steak, but that's the first one. I think I'm getting
like I mean I guess we all know like, you know, death happens and let it happen, but it didn't have that weight to it in terms of messaging. It was just very much like monster of the week kind of thing. But
absolutely,
I think the biggest issue for me was the reasoning behind bringing a woman back for the, I can't remember the character's name, for the
Daryl.
Daryl. That's where it fell short for me, because when you watch Frankenstein, the reason the Bride of Frankenstein's introduced to make sure he's not alone, and then you got that build up with Boris Karloff in Frankenstein, where he's such a lonely character, you feel so sorry for him. And have you ever seen Penny Dreadful?
No.
Yes,
great. I think it's a great show, and it kind of ended really poorly the last couple of episodes.
I only watched season 1.
The way they develop the Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster characters is, for me, amazing. It's the only, outside of James Whale's original film, that they really did a great job of doing that. Like Kenneth Branagh's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, really, I'm not a big fan of that at all. And this kind of falls short. It sticks within those tropes. It tries to say something about, is it Daryl, but there's no real clear reasoning behind it.
Yeah, no. It's almost like they tried to use the familiarity of Frankenstein to trick the audience into having an emotional connection to him, right? When there really was no reason to. He just seemed like, yes, he was a reanimated corpse, but the fact that he's trying to the fact that he's just like so demanding of his brother for no real reason, didn't lend itself to any empathy.
And also, I didn't find either of either the two guys, the two students, or the Daryl that great actors. Like they didn't. I don't know. I just found that they weren't as strong as some of the characters.
I think they didn't do a good enough job explaining exactly what the problem was. Like, he just looked like a guy with a messed up face. And I'm like, I mean, you could still go out. Like, there's lots of people with scars, buddy. Like, you can just, I know. I mean, I'm not dismissing someone, obviously, that has this in real life. And obviously, it's traumatizing to be stared at all the time. But, like, they didn't do a good job of being like, I'm a decay. Like, you know what I mean? Explaining, like, what the problem was. Like, maybe his brain came back warped, or, like, he had like a stench about him, or you know what I mean? Like it just seemed like my face is kind of messed up, and so I'm gonna live in the basement. Like I just I didn't give a good enough reason for.
And if they did, if they had, maybe it was done with makeup, but I actually wrote it down. The whole episode was shot really dark. I found that a lot of the scenes you couldn't see what was going on. Like all the scenes in the basement, you couldn't. really see him. And I know they were trying to create like a sort of an ominous or air or whatever, but it didn't. It just lends itself to that you can't really see what the problem is. Just a guy with some scars on his face.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like honestly, I was going to ask you about that, especially with the last episode too, because I think from what I've read, what I'm watching on Amazon Prime, and I think it's like a really badly converted version, like the way they did it to HD and then set it up so it's full screen. The lighting has changed significantly, so I think my version was not quite as dark. Like I could see his face actually detrimentally. You could see the edges of the scarring and stuff really easily. Yeah, where the yellow of the
I noticed
ended.
That. Yeah.
So I was like, I was wondering what the original lighting looked like. So it's good to know, like, it was actually supposed to be a lot darker than what we saw in the.
They've probably brightened those scenes far too much, haven't they?
Yeah. Buffy fans are pretty mad about the version.
Smudge and Dave probably watching in a much better format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pull out my DVDs now.
Yeah.
I think I need to go back to the DVDs because I think a lot of people said that the Amazon version is just like really distorted, and like people have said like the lighting is so important in Buffy in terms of setting the mood and the tone, and like the prime like kind of ruined that framing and stuff. So
in the UK, Fox is on Disney. It's on Hulu in the US, and it's Disney Star Plus. So I'll actually check that on Disney service and see if it's a different transfer. So that'll be quite interesting.
I should check too.
To be honest, I prefer to watch in the 4:3, the original crop, rather than stretched out, which we both watched. So
yeah, because one of the problems someone also said with the stretched out is sometimes they use actual footage that wasn't cropped for TV, and the problem is there's a character on screen, but in the original they weren't. So they've cut out that person's dialogue. So now all of a sudden you have a person talking, and there's no sound because they're not supposed to be in the original shot of the.
Oh wow!
Is that what they've done for that? Yeah, that was that big thing I think we discussed ages ago about the difference between the X-Files and Buffy. Shot in 16:9 but cropped for 4:3, and the X-Files actually. They have that extra breathing room, which is amazing to see when you watch it again.
Yeah, makes it so cinematic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, there's a really kind of, I won't say quality control, but a bit of a disconnect I have with the whole episode. Really.
Yeah, same.
I did find some of the humor was great. There was
the Cordelia stuff was amazing.
Yeah, that was she unbelievably. I didn't realize she was so serious about cheerleading. She went to leading, and she's giving like her other squad mates a pep talk about really having to give it, or else they're not going to lead anyone with their cheer.
Yeah,
like nobody thinks that cheerleaders are actually leading anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I love the Miss Calendar stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and how Giles was really vulnerable all the time.
Yeah, him asking at the chair.
That was great.
Yeah.
All the lines surrounding that were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so few notes for this episode because there was too much good dialogue and I couldn't write everything, but like I loved them, like again ripping him about them asking her out, and
but even that when Buffy says, what is it? I've got a thing and you've got a thing, so maybe we could have a thing.
Yeah, and then like
that was so great.
Yeah, Mexican. What?
Yeah, I love how she does it anyway.
Yeah.
That was just beautifully done.
Yeah.
And the relief on his eyes.
Yeah, and he was like, that went well. And then he hops. He hops when he turns around.
It was so great.
Really
it was cute to see. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead because I was waiting for this episode to come. But it seemed like Anthony really had a real smile when they were sitting in the bleachers. They're talking about football, and it seemed like he was happily criticizing American football.
That's right, because he says that, they talk about the virility of American football.
Yeah,
players.
And how they're so
they have
padded.
To strap on 40 pounds of equipment to play rugby.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah. There's a moment where Cordelia needs some support, and Giles walks and goes,
They're
there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely
Can we deal with
brilliant.
my pain? They're there.
Oh my god.
I also love the line of they're talking about the car crash that like where they get the bodies from, and I think someone says like, do you know what this means? And Xander goes, Fondren will finally beat Sunnydale in the crosstown body competition.
Oh, I never heard that.
Oh, wow.
As if they're acknowledging the extreme high body count that Sunnydale has every year, which I thought was great. That made me laugh a lot.
Oh, I missed that.
And the best thing to come out of this, even though I liked it, I enjoyed watching it, but I didn't love it, was bringing Cordelia much, much closer. I know we had that in the previous episode, but it just felt they're giving the character, giving the actress just a little bit more, meat on the bones.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
And they put her through the ringer these last 2 episodes. She gets kidnapped 3 times.
Oh, she's 4.
In 2 episodes. 4.
This is the 4th. If you count 5, then if you count separate kidnappings in this episode, in the whole series, she's been kidnapped now 5 times.
Yeah.
And I'm just going like, this poor girl. Like, when they show a kidnapping, they always show hers first.
Yeah.
So even though the last episode they kidnapped a whole group of people, the only one they show on screen is Cordelia.
Yeah, and this is 2 in a row now. Like, speaking of like season 1, but two episodes in a row, she gets kidnapped. In this episode, she gets kidnapped technically twice. Buffy saves her and then has to save her again. And then also, like, I feel like this is like, I think I don't remember which episode it was when Xander coughs like karma, but it's almost like they're really doing that. So you can feel for her. The last 2 episodes, like Buffy calls her a moron. The previous episode, no, she's been nothing but nice and helpful. And then this episode, like they all ignore her. And then like at the end, when she tries to heartfelt actually thank Xander, he's just like, can you please just shut up? I'm they're so horrible to her.
I know.
Yeah, I was happy with her character throughout the whole series, and then going on to Angel, I actually quite like her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have any of you got favorite lines from this?
Yeah,
I've got favorite lines.
Did you say second date? Well, that's one of my favorite lines.
Oh yeah.
the Giles Miss Calendar thing.
My when Willow says something to Xander and he says, "Do I deconstruct your segues?"
Oh yeah, that was great.
I thought, oh my god, I'm loving this. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Other than the Buffy one about dating, I think my favorite is Giles when they come up to him and try to talk to him about what's going on, and he's obviously distracted by Miss Calendar, and he says, "What is it? It's corpses. Yes, evil."
Oh yeah,
that's great. Yes, corpses. Yes, evil. That's great.
It is
So
great.
good.
yeah. I like One Woman Vampire. Xander says it.
Oh, that's right.
When they walk home with Cordy and Angel go home, I guess.
Oh yeah, I thought he was a one woman. I did like that scene too, where he's like a 241-year-old vampire, as he says in this episode, yet be completely helpless in the face of Cordelia's manipulations. She just like leads him off, like, and he just like,
and the
what do I do? What do I do?
Angel and Buffy. Yeah, that was well done.
Buffy's kind of going, huh?
Yeah.
It was like, great. Yeah, he looks so helpless. His look back.
Yeah. I like her knife catch. I can't remember when that was.
Yeah. He tosses the knife at her, and she just It almost kind of a reference to the Buffy movie, because she does that in the Buffy movie too, which was cool. I just thought the dialogue was great all around. Like I terribly didn't have a lot of quotes because I just thought the dialogue was all really great. So
at one point somebody says BYO shovel. I thought that was hilarious.
Or Buffy's, I'm an old-fashioned gal. I was raised to believe that men dig up the corpses and make the babies.
I missed that, but that's brilliant.
That's another really juicy line. But in terms of serious lines, my favorite line is, he gets to have you in the sunlight or see you in the sunlight.
Yeah.
And again, that tension of Angel and Buffy and
someone pointed out, which I didn't catch this and I didn't go back to check if this was true, but like Angel, he always showed up in season 1 in the same outfit basically, but like this one he's in like this tan jacket, and someone said it almost echoes what Xander was wearing last season, as if he was trying to emulate Xander a little by being a little bit more light with his clothing choices.
I didn't put that together.
I didn't either.
Wow.
I noticed the jacket right away, and I kind of went, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
that.
the fashion choices were interesting. Like last episode, he was wearing a red velvet shirt, which I was also not on board with.
Funny.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did any of you notice a poster called "Dress for Success"?
No.
Just that in the background, yeah.
No. That's cool.
So yeah, there's some nice little details in this episode.
Yeah. Does anybody think that the football scene?
Oh yeah, we were talking about this.
Was that stock footage, or did they actually have that many extras and costumes made? Because that would be that has to be the largest number of people in costume they've other than regular clothes.
Yeah.
They've had in one scene in Buffy.
Yeah.
If it's stock, it doesn't feel like stock footage. It was because sometimes you can really see the separation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good point.
Like that, like all those uniforms had individual names on them. They had, people enacting football, like
and the
plays
audience,
and
like
things,
on the bleachers, too,
and the audience and everybody. It just seemed like a bigger shot for Buffy than we.
That's going to be some sort of school or some. It's going to be real, effectively, isn't it? That team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how they shoot. I think it was Creed. I think it was the first Creed film, the Rocky sequel, and they shot in a football stadium in Liverpool, in Everton's ground. They shot footage of the crowd, and then they kind of sewed that in with the boxing scene. So I think that they probably got permission of the school saying, right, if you're having your game, we're going to shoot this scene here, so you have a real game. We'll just have the cameras about. Because it really did work really well. The atmosphere and the setup,
it almost felt weird because I'm not used to Buffy feeling so large, in terms of their shots. It always feels kind of not claustrophobic, but very small scale and everything. And then that was such a big scene that I'm just not used to with that show. It just out of place, really.
And a big outdoor scene too.
Even when they shoot outdoors, it's usually only 6 characters on screen at most, like tops. So that was a definite bigger moment. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I love how under bleachers is such a cinematic thing. So many kind of seedy and positive and coming of age things that happen under bleachers.
Yeah, true.
So that was quite
definitely
cool,
a trope in movies.
Yeah, there's an episode of the X-Files. I can't remember what it's called or who the actor is. There's an episode of the X-Files where this man, he's basically indestructible, but he starts, his skin, everything starts to turn to metal, to steel. And he basically, if a car runs into him, he splits the car. And that's a mature development of the kind of Frankenstein story and theme. But yeah, and I like how the Daryl goes out on his own. Yeah, I kind of actually preferred some of that later stuff where he went out to seek Cordelia, and he was looking under the bleachers. I thought that was really great. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a weird one too because they didn't really solidify what it it was they had the police involved, which never happens, but they didn't really explain what happened to them. And it's so weird when Buffy comes up against human foe because they're what happened to Eric after he straight up tried to kill Cordy. Did he go to prison? I don't know. I guess
they drag him out of the room. That's right.
But Chris didn't go to jail. He was on the stretcher talking to Buffy, so it was almost he got to go free, even though he dug up a bunch of bodies and cut them up and it was weird.
Yeah, that is very creepy. Did we actually see police in this?
Yeah, the last scene when after the fire, there's an ambulance and cop cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the creepy mother.
Oh yeah, she's creepy.
And she's like this.
Yeah, constantly staring at TV or whatever.
I think that if they'd have gone down the route of trying to bring back their friend, Daryl himself, I think that would have been a much stronger that side of the story kind of thing, and it would have been much the reasoning behind it. That was the biggest issue, the reasoning behind why they're bringing this girl back. They've got Daryl back now,
I guess I would have thought I would have liked a little more problems with that, because like they never addressed this kind of zombie thing quite again, and it almost seemed like beyond his scars, like there was nothing much wrong with his brain, or it just felt trapped. So I mean, if you didn't die in a horrific car accident, if you just kind of died in a different way, there'd be no problems with being like, you know what I mean? Like it, usually with other media, like so a good one is like Full Metal Alchemist, where they explore the concept of trying to bring someone back from them dead. It's always horrific and it goes wrong because you're trying to circumvent nature. Or what's the Pet Cemetery or stuff. Like it's always goes wrong because it's unnatural. You're not supposed to bring people back. People die. It's sad, but that's what happens. It didn't really address the problems with bringing, like it almost didn't seem like that bad, like, you know, he's alive, like
in fact they could have given it a lot, given it a lot more depth because they don't talk about whether Chris was testing other things to bring them back to life first. He just discovered how to bring his, you know, at the same time his brother dies, he all of a sudden knows right away how to bring this person back to life, you know, which is impossible. But they also make a big point about needing them to be dead fresh for the brains not to deteriorate and the muscles to atrophy, and they never talk about how long he was dead before they brought him back to life. And then, like, he's got a grave. They center on the grave at the end of the episode. He's got a gravesite and everything. So they went through embalming, dressing him up, putting him in the ground. So that clearly, you know, maybe he was there for longer, but they never touch on any of that.
Yeah, it's almost like he's alongside the grave after he's died and buried going, yeah, this is about time we can go in and get him now.
Yeah, but also, like, in what world is it more beautiful to have, like, a piecemeal lady? Why didn't they just use
that's what I asked.
One whole woman?
Yeah, like what's wrong with her body? Like, I mean, I was asking.
Stick Daryl on Tinder, yeah.
Like,
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, why don't you just kill Cordy in one whole piece?
Yeah,
and then bring her back to life? Why are you cutting up? Like, I just can't think in what world, like, my hand would look better with someone else's, like, hand. Like,
that
would look weird.
That's a really weird idea, and they don't touch on it. But it's almost like if the only thing wrong with him is that he's got scars, the woman they have to bring back has to have just as many scars. Or else there won't be reason for her to stay with him in the basement. Which is such a weak connection there.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, you know, clearly if there's nothing wrong with the person's brain, why would, just because she was ugly, maybe she'd go find her own basement if she didn't want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she doesn't have to stay with you.
Oh, that's gonna stick with me. Go find your own basement.
Go find your own basement.
For 2021, go find your own basement.
That whole thing didn't really make a lot of sense.
on a theme that I'm just gonna, unless you guys answer that, I was just gonna mention that love is in the air, like Buffy and Angel solidified Xander and Willow in their friendship kind of love way, and Giles and Miss Calendar. So I just thought it was more love.
Yeah. And that's why I didn't really hate, like, this episode. I felt like it was a good Monster of the Week, but, like, what made it good was the dialogue. It was funny, and it also set up, I guess, future storyline. We got to see the beginning of Giles and Jenny Calendar's romance, and even, like, Cordy's kind of more melding into the group, kind of being there. And, I kind of liked that. It still felt like classic Buffy to me, so I just didn't. I felt like thematically it wasn't great, but I also really liked the episode just for those.
Yeah, you said exactly what was in my brain just now.
So unlike other Monsters of the Week episodes where you're almost able to skip them and not lose any of the story, one has enough in it that it really does bring the story along.
Well put.
It's definitely important to have those connections.
Real name? Do you guys know
Jenny, the actress?
I'll look her up.
It's
she's good. Was she ever
the tip of my tongue? I have it here. Hold on, I will look it up. Buffy Wiki is such a good source of where is she? Jenny Calendar is, where is her name? Rabia Lamort.
Oh, interesting. Thanks.
Yeah, she's really good. I really like her, which makes it okay. Well, I won't spoil anything, but
Yeah.
Was this episode written by one of the regular writers?
No. He's this is the first episode he's written. It's Ty King, and he only writes one more episode this season, which is also an Angel-focused episode. So I guess he's pretty good at writing the kind of Buffy and Angel interaction, which I like. Yeah, I like their interaction in this episode. Was really
me too.
Cute, kind of showing the beginning of their tentative romance,
or admitting he's jealous of Xander.
Yeah, it was cute. I love their fight. Was just so adorable.
I thought the same exact thing.
Yeah, the beginning and the end was such a nice moment. Those two together, I just loved seeing it. It's really
what
sweet.
did you make of the scene where Cordelia was being really nice at the end, and then Xander just brushed her off?
Yeah.
I feel for
so
me,
harsh.
I feel as though it was harsh, and should he have been a little bit more kind of open to her?
Well, it's like I was saying about the last episode. This is part of the theme of just how oblivious he is to everything all the time. You know, even his own with his friends. He's not open to it. He's so blocked. And they try to make it off as if he's dumb, but he's not dumb.
No,
he's kind of a moron.
Yeah, because they played that scene. That thing was played for laughs. It was really mean to her, but he was toying. One, it was mean because he's talking to poor Willow, saying, "How come we're the only two that aren't, finding dates?" And then the joke is that he totally dismisses Cordelia, who's trying to be heartfelt and thank him, and he goes, I don't know why I'm single."
Yeah.
But it was mean on both sides because he completely oblivious to Willow, who he almost kissed, but he seems to have forgotten about, and then totally dismisses Cordelia, who's being really nice to him.
We've all been there.
But I guess we have to remember, and I'm really bad at this because I always feel bad for everyone, even if they deserve the treatment they're getting. But she has spent the last years torturing poor Willow and being really horrible to her. So you can't just expect people to be nice to you just because you've decided to be nice all of a sudden. There's I think they're trying to really put poor Cordy through, I guess, some karma. So you feel like she's earned her comeback, I guess, in a way.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, do we know what the third and fourth episodes are called?
Oh, let me.
The third episode is called School Hard, and I am really excited about this one. And the episode after that is Inca Mummy Girl.
Oh,
I read the description of that one, and I really want to watch that now.
Inca Mummy Girl, yeah.
Yeah, both are very, from what I remember, are very good episodes.
I have to look up what School Hard is again. I forget.
School Hard is the appearance of a vampire that stays with us for the rest of Buffy.
Oh, okay, yes, okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. All right.
So yeah, it should be fun.